you could be wasting your time. Yeah, trying to think of a good example. But no, you're right. You're right. In that, if you're wasting your money, you probably would say I'm wasting my money. You wouldn't say I'm wasting my time. But yeah, if you literally were wasting people's time, if I was keeping you guys an hour past when I should, I'm wasting your guys' time. But yes, you're right. Okay, so now we're going to read on page 92. Okay, first of all, any other questions on any of those? Okay, so page 92, what I usually do is I will read the story first, and then I'll ask for volunteers to help read each paragraph of the story after I read it first. So, page 92, I'll start. I'll read it first. So, giving advice and opinions. And again, listen to the way I say certain words. This is just for practice and hearing how I pronounce certain words. And that way it may help you guys when I ask for volunteers. So, dear Ellen, I have just received your letter, and I feel that I should let you know what I think of your plans for the future. I hope you won't take offense, but will accept what I say here as fatherly advice. I was very surprised when I read in your letter that you had decided not to finish your studies at the university. I realize that Peter wants you to marry him this summer, but with only one more year to go, you would be well advised to finish the course. A year is really a very short time, and later you will be glad you took my advice. As you know, my reaction to Peter was extremely favorable when I met him. He's an exceptionally fine young man and should make a good husband, but I do urge you to complete your education first. You are 21 and old enough to make up your own mind. This is something you'll have to work out for yourself. As your uncle, I have always tried not to interfere in your affairs, and I don't intend to begin now. But, my dear, please do consider my words very carefully before you decide. Whatever you do, though, Ellen, you know I only want one thing for you, and that is your happiness. Affectionately, Uncle Tim. So, who wants to read the first paragraph? Go ahead.
Dear Ellen, I've just received your letter, and I feel that I should let you know what I think of your plans for the future. I hope you won't take offense, but will accept what I say here as fatherly advice.
So, what's one of the words you see here that we talked about? Fatherly. Is this person that person's father?
No.
But are they giving them fatherly advice? There's a specific kind of advice.
You said before, like, father is only used with the father, and motherly is only used with mother. But this is uncalled for.
Well, right. I said father, like literal father, or father figure, somebody who operates as a father. So even though this person is an uncle, this person operates as if he's giving her fatherly advice, advice that literally a father would give. So what I said was that it would be a literal father, but also somebody who may act as a father. Whatever man in their life would give them fatherly advice. So in this case, yes, you're right. That's what I wanted to point out. This person is not their literal father, but the type of advice he's getting would be advice that would come from a father. So next, who wants to read the next paragraph? Okay, go ahead.
I was very surprised when I read in your letter that you had decided not to finish your studies at the university. I realized that Peter wants you to marry him this summer, but with only one more year to go, you would be well advised to finish the course. a year is really a very short time, and later you will be glad you took my advice.
Good. So, Uncle Tim was very surprised to learn in the letter what? What did he learn in the letter?
Peter wants to marry.
Yeah.
He's
What was the
not
first thing that he read in the letter in that paragraph?
He's not
Surprise.
finished.
Yeah. What was he surprised at?
Surprise about she didn't finish the high school.
Yes.
It's only 1 more year.
Yes.
He wants to marry.
So she did not finish her studies at the university. She only had 1 more year, and he knows that Peter wants to marry. Yeah. But what's his advice that he gives? What is he advising her to do?
You want her
Did
to-
you finish the course before marrying?
Yeah, to finish the course. So he says you would be well advised to finish the course. If I said you would be well advised to finish the course, I'm basically saying you would be smart if you take my advice and finish the course.
And that is really
A year is really a very short time. So if he's saying a year is really a very short time, and later you will be glad you took my advice. What is he saying here?
you should finish your study before you marry.
Before you marry, yes. And that a year
It's a short time.
is not very long. That because it's not very long, she should take that commitment, make that commitment to finish studying before she gets married, because in the long term, it would be better for her. So raise your hand if you want to read paragraph 3.
I don't know why the action to Peter was actually favorable. When I met him, he an exceptionally fine young man and his name a good husband. But I do urge you to complete your education first.
So does Tim like Peter? Does Tim like Peter?
Yes.
Yeah. It's extremely favorable. He likes him a lot. Last paragraph. Any of you guys want to read it?
You are 21 and old enough to make up your own mind. This is something you'll have to work out for yourself. As your uncle, I have always tried not to interfere in your affairs, and I don't intend to begin now. But my idea, please do consider my words very carefully before you decide. Whatever you do, though Ellen, you know I only want one thing for you, and that is your happiness. Affectionately, Uncle.
Great. Good job. So, what's in this last paragraph? What is he telling her? Like, if you could summarize, what is he telling her in this last paragraph?
It's your decision.
Yes, it's your decision to make. And that overall, this letter that he writes, is he being polite in this letter, or is he being impolite?
Very
Very polite. Yes. Because he's not being sarcastic, he's not making jabs at her. He's being very polite and saying, he wants to give his advice because he loves her, he cares about her, but he wants to do it in a very careful way so that he doesn't interfere or offend her, make her mad. Because he says, this is something you'll have to work out for yourself. In other words, it's your decision. As your uncle, I've always tried not to interfere in your affairs. In other words, he's saying I try not to get too involved to where I feel like I'm meddling. If he gets too involved, if he interferes too much, then maybe he starts making decisions for her and then making her mad. But he says, I don't intend to begin now. And so, but what's he doing? He's basically saying, please at least consider my words, and consider them carefully. Because what does he want for her?
Happiness.
Happiness, yeah. Very touching story. Okay. So next one we have is the conversation on page 93. But first of all, back up. Any words in there? Anything, any phrases you guys don't understand?
The last paragraph,
Yeah.
he say, as your uncle, I have always tried not to interfere in your affairs, and I don't intend to begin now. So he means that he don't want to interfere now, or
Right. So he's basically Uncle Tim's view is that by sending this letter, he's giving his advice, but he doesn't view himself as interfering with her. He would think he was probably interfering if he was actually trying to make decisions behind her back or try to really influence her very obviously, versus in a polite way to where he's just making decisions for her. So when he says, as your uncle, I've always tried not to interfere, not get too involved to where I feel like I'm involved, but I'm unwanted. That what Ellen basically feels like he's too involved. I don't want him that involved. So he's saying, I've tried not to interfere in your affairs, and I don't intend to begin now. So basically he's saying, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop here. All I'm going to do is give my advice through this letter. I don't intend to go any further. I don't intend to interfere, feel unwanted in this situation. I'm just going to give my advice and leave it there.
so he doesn't intend to begin now, but maybe later he will interfere, or
Well, no, he's basically saying that in the past he hasn't interfered, and from now into the future he doesn't intend to interfere. Like he didn't intend to interfere in the past,